Hi everyone, it's Sunday, September 20th, time for another HideNet Weekend Review. I'm Vera Dordick. So last week was rather quiet comparatively, with the US subdued mainly due to a lack of availability, and Europe in a wait-and-see mode because Lineapelle is this week. Also, the coronavirus is spiking in Europe again, and that has led to a resurgence of uncertainty. So let's start there. Editor Andrea Guolo reports that, as we already said, this is the week of fairs in Milan, which will have a very different look because of the restrictions and the new configuration. Plus, only Italians and people from neighboring countries can attend. MyCam and the fashion fair started today, and Lineapelle will start on Tuesday. Andrea reports on what's going on there and, surprisingly, who isn't participating in the fairs. With regard to prices, we'll start with the UK, where he says that the price of English 36 plus ox is 75 cents in sterling, and the strength of that price led sellers to try and up the ante for another 10 cents, but buyers weren't having it. For the same hides from Ireland, the price is still 70 cents in euros, but it might be on the rise. European bull markets, which had seen good increases of late, were unchanged this week. Prices are up and tanners are just waiting to see what happens, largely. Cows were also mainly unchanged, and overall everyone's waiting to see what happens in Milan this week. Veal skins, well, they're in short supply, so we'll see what happens with those prices in the coming weeks. In his analysis, Andrea looks at the peripheral issues surrounding the fair, and then he also breaks down what's happening with leather goods and fashion in the region. Turning to South America, editor Ronald Guiel tells us that after rising for 2 weeks, the price of fresh hides was stable, and it was still selling at 63 cents per kilo in reals. Likewise, the price of TR1 was steady, and it was still at 60 cents per square foot in dollars. In other news from Brazil, the footwear sector improved its reputation and its image by holding a social media campaign that involved many brands. From other parts of Latin America, we have news that Argentina's slaughter is expected to be lower in 2021. Colombia's footwear imports dropped 55% in July. And Sapica is expecting 250 exhibitors, and actually that's more than is currently allowed, so we'll see what happens with that this coming week. Turning to the United States, it was a good week for sellers because they're well positioned and they were able to push prices higher again, as they have for several weeks now. In general, most of the popular steer selections have very limited availability, and packers aren't willing to push out their positions, so the market's very firm. Trading in regular weight heavy Texas steers was thin again this week, but sales still managed to go up by $1, with 62-64 pound selections trading as high as $23. Slaughter for the week through Saturday, September 19th was 654,000, which is much higher than last week's holiday shortened 574,000. With regard to export sales, the combined total was higher, partly because Wet Blue logged sales for the week as well as for 2021, so the total was 561,200. Combined shipments were also better this week at 554,900. In our observations this week, we take a look at footwear and some of the dangers of the rising market that we have now. So that's all we have for this week, and until next week, good night from HideNet.